So my podcast is called Passive Profits on Etsy, and I teach other women, ambitious women, how to sell digital products on Etsy. I started selling digital products on Etsy, and I got to the point where I became a top 0.1% Etsy seller just selling digital products, and I was able to retire from my teaching job. I knew that I wanted to not only have that business run in the background, but I also wanted to coach and teach other women how to have multiple six-figure successful businesses just by selling digital products on Etsy. So in my Etsy business, what I loved about that business model is that I didn't have to use social media for my business or marketing on Etsy, which was something like my social media was a ghost town. I never posted for it. I leveraged different other ways. To me, that became such a huge value of not using social media. And I became so determined to figure out a way to have another successful business without social media. I went onto Pinterest. I typed it in, just a simple search, like, how do I run a successful business without social media? And a pin of yours popped up, and I clicked on it, and it was a blog post, and you explained, what you did with podcasting. And so I was immediately intrigued by it. So then I started listening to your podcast and just absorbing all of the content. And, but yeah, I found you through Pinterest. What it was like for me when I got in, it was really great because it didn't allow me to move on to the next one until because I had got the bundle. So I did the Clarify Your Calling, and I was able to do all of that and get that done. Then I did PPU, and I knew I couldn't get into P2P until my podcast was up and running. It pushed me to be like, I have to get this podcast up and running so that I can go in and get the most out of P2P. I can't tell you how much of my business has blown up. That I blew it up. Like, I was like, okay, we're not doing that anymore, and we're changing it. But it was so necessary. Like, I just wish, I'm so grateful that I found you when I did, but I wish that I found you so much earlier, because I probably would have saved so much money. Like, I'm talking thousands of dollars I would have saved if I had found you originally. And I think that was your program is a business in a box. Like, there is no other program that you need to have. If somebody's values aligns to yours as well, this is hands down the best program that I've come in contact with, and everything step by step. And not only that, it's the coaching calls. Like, I think that's where, and the community aspect of like getting your homework checked by a coach, and they don't just look at it and say like, great job. Like, they will find something with it every single time that you can make better. So even if I'm like, oh, I can't wait to post this up, like they're gonna be like, you're amazing. You have nothing wrong with your homework. They're like, and how about this? Coming into it a little bit messy is, we just have to start. We just have to start. It's going to be messy. It's going to be ugly. But we can't wait for it to be so perfect, and because it's just not going to be. And when you start off, I just had maybe like 4 or 5 episodes published when I came into P2P, and it was so early on still that I was able to clean things up. I even changed the name of my podcast within the first 5 episodes. So I was open to that, and I was willing to do that. So I just really loved the way that it was paced out. I genuinely was so humbled throughout these past 3 months, because I thought before I bought your program, I thought I knew what I was doing. I was like, I don't really I can, figure it out. I didn't at all. Since May 13th, I just hit over 12,000 podcast downloads. I had grown my email list by 300 people since that day. The moment that I started my podcast, started implementing the things that you told me to do in the program, I had sold 34 courses, and that was only in 3 months. The 3 months prior, 4 months prior that I had this open was just 18. So I made over $10,000 in course sales just over the past 3 months since my podcast has been open. I asked them through a welcome form, how did you find the course? How did you find me? 90% of the answers from that time period was from my podcast. So the investment that I made in your course not only paid for itself, but it doubled, and it will continue to grow.
Anybody sitting on the fence, watching your story in awe, listening to your story in awe, do you have just one last thing you feel led to say to them to really help them make that decision?
it's 100% worth it. I mean, I think that we all suffer from imposter syndrome in one way or another. And I think that allowing that to keep you back from something that you know is possible. Like there's absolutely nothing special about me other than the fact that I just decided to do it. And I think once you decide what that is for you, you know, my wins can be your wins and you can surpass those wins. Like I didn't even think that this was possible. I 100% stand behind, like, I wish that I had done this sooner.